Okay, welcome to part 4. Kind of impromptu. I wasn't planning on doing anything live tonight, but I started lashing the stems to the keel, and I was just so impressed by how well it worked that I thought I'd just turn on the computer and let it rip because I wanted to first test it before I did it live, just in case I hurt myself or I was doing it incorrectly. But here, I'm going to take it over to actually the bow. I am so impressed by how well this came out. Let's see if I can. There we go. I don't know why it's completely missing. There we go. So I used 3 pieces of artificial sinew to do this, and I am blown away by how tight this joint is. I can't move it at all, and I know that eventually when I'm paddling there's going to be a lot of stress on it, but this is just one joint out of several. All the chines are going to be attached to the pretty much all the stringers are going to be attached to the stem here, so it's not just the keel that's going to be attached, and it seems to be super tight, and it stayed in place perfectly. So I'm going to do the same thing to the stern, and in order to do that, so what I've been using is artificial sinew. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I'm not really sure, but that's what I'm calling it because I haven't actually heard anyone say it out live. And I've been using canvas needle to do it. What I did is, let me get this a little bit closer in. So here is the keel near the stern. Here's the stem that's going to go on it. And what I did is I drilled 3 holes on the keel and then a couple of holes on the stem. I did the same thing for the bow, and what worked was not only was it working at keeping it down, but also from moving forward and aft. So I'm going to get the sinew ready and get the sewing. So each piece that I've been doing has been about a wingspan, so that's probably close to 6 feet, I'm guessing. Oh, and if you guys have any questions while I'm doing this, just type it into the chat and I can see what you guys say. I can answer any questions while this is happening. But really, I'm blown away by how well this is working. So the first thing I did was, and actually a huge thanks to Kudzu. He has some really great videos online of how to do lashings, and I was following his tutorials. Excellent stuff. So the first thing I did was use a figure 8 stopper knot. There we go. So by getting the stopper knot there, that's not going to move around, and then I can start working on it. That'll keep it in place. All other knots will probably move back and forth, but that's okay. With the stopper knot in place, there's nowhere for it to go. It's actually kind of funny to think about sewing pieces of wood together, but at first I was thinking I would use some epoxy and lashing, but that first attempt at it was just so good. I don't think it needs epoxy. And once again, it's similar to, there's going to be so much of it, so many different connections keep it in place. It's not going to be just that one connection I just made. So what I'm doing here is doing the first piece. This is the only hard part, is keeping this in place while I work on it. So actually, I'm going to go over to the other side. Let's see if I can do it from this side. So I can keep it in place, because once it gets tight, it'll hold itself in place, but just the first couple seemed a little bit harder to work with. So I've had some people ask me what type of kayak this is that I'm working on. It's a model made by Dave Gentry. He based it off of a West Greenland style kayak, and on my Instagram feed you could see some finished images of what his model looks like, and it's really sexy. I hope that my build turns out anywhere as, I mean, it won't turn out as nice as what he has, but just if it looks nice and it paddles well, I'm going to be so happy. I just have my hopes up that it'll paddle well. And I'm guessing, if all goes well, it should be a really good roller as well, because it's pretty narrow. See, this was the hard part. Keeping it in place just to get that first knot in place. There we go. So this knot is going to be able to move around, but the stopper knot is going to keep it in place. There we go. So I don't know if I could zoom in enough. Sorry, this time I'm not using the nicer camera to zoom in, but one of the knots is actually running and getting tighter while the stopper knot is keeping it in place. Alright. Uh-oh. Where'd I leave the needle? Oh, yes. And the thing is, on the other one, I thought, no, I really need to try to get it perfect. And I realized that once I started tightening this down, if the knots weren't in a perfect place, it started getting tight regardless. And it's going to keep it. There we go. Okay. Like I said, just getting the first couple of stitches was the hardest, because it kept moving on me all over the place. And like I said, if you have any questions while this is going on, oh, I had my hand in the way, sorry about that. But you can see, I'm just doing regular stitches. Would you call it even a stitch if I'm working this way? And I was just blown away with the bow stem, how tight it felt, and how it just wasn't moving at all. By the second piece of sinew that I put on there, it was staying in place perfectly. And let's see. So yeah, like I said before, if you have any questions, feel free to type into the chat room and I can answer. All right, actually, I need to get back to the other side for a second. So every couple of, I'd say I've been doing about 6 to 7, let's call them stitches. And every time I stop, every couple of what I do is I pull off the needle, get a little dowel, tighten it around it, and then pull on it to get it tight. The interesting thing is, once it tightens, it doesn't really get loose. Oh, I snapped a little bit of it, but it's okay. I'm going to do so much of it that it won't matter. So I was recently thinking how I can get away with playing music while I'm doing these live streams because of copyright. The problem is, as soon as I have music that's owned by someone else, I have copyright issues. But I think it's kind of annoying to not have anything in the background. So I think I just need to either find a library of copyright-free music and just have that as a playlist in the background. Or something. I don't know. But anyway, the kit that I'm working on is made by Dave Gentry, as I said, from Gentry Custom Boats. And then there's been several of you guys on Instagram that have been really huge help with tips and great info, videos, tutorials, and all around. So thank you so much for everyone that's been so helpful shooting information my way. So I'm going to do a quick pan. This is the stern here. Gunnels are in the way. So this is the stern. Oh, it's so much harder with the laptop on here. I can't really show it. It's a lot easier, sorry guys, to have the camera mounted on a tripod. And this one is just not being as helpful. But at least you could see that this is really staying in place. It's still moving a little bit, but that's because I'm only working with these 4 holes here. Once I get to the other holes, that's when I'm sure it's going to start getting tight, because that's what happened with the other one. Once again, I'm going to get it one more time around, and then I'm going to tighten again. And like I said, if you have any questions while this is going on at all, just type them into the chat and I'll be more than happy to answer. Once again, dowel. I'm going to wrap it around a couple of times. Yeah, it's already starting to really bite in there. So this sinew, artificial sinew, is trying to represent what used to be used for these lashings. And what's really amazing about it is that it's, I lost my needle, there it is. It's waxed. And so what's happening, oh, wait a minute. Oh, you guys have been talking this whole time and I just didn't see any of it. I'm so sorry about that. That's, I should play the album. Actually, no, but you know the thing is, if I play that album, it's still copyright, even if it's my copyright, and I can't. That means that then the video has the same copyright as the album. That's one of the problems with using other people's music, is then you kind of give up what's happening to, in your video, it's completely up to whatever you just used. You know what? I think I'm going to call it there. And I'm just going to start knotting this off. Because one of the problems, one of my mistakes in the last one, so I'm going to do a couple of just regular knots. Where's the dowel? One of the mistakes I was doing in the other one was I let the sinew get just too short. There we go, look at that. Right in place, and it's already... Whoa, just snapped it. So I was reading that you need to work with this until you snap it so that you understand how hard you can pull it. So now I know. That's really great. So I'm just going to pull a couple back. Where was it? There we go. And then just knot from there. That's too bad. That was really nice and tight. But that's okay. So what I'll do is I'll just tighten from here then. So like I said, regular knot first. I'm going to do a couple. Try to get that tight. And one thing I'm not doing that I've been told to do already a couple of times is to wrap my fingers. I didn't think I'd be doing a lot of this. I was just going to run some tests tonight, and it came out so well that I just wanted to keep going. But there, just with that, with those knots there, this is already getting really tight. And I lost a couple of stitches when I just broke the sinew, but it's still really tight. So once again, a couple of regular, I believe these are called hitch knots. Over, around, the back, and pull. And now I'm going to do a figure 8 stopper knot. So that it doesn't come undone. Yeah, sorry if my hand's in the way the entire time. I'm trying to keep them out of the way, but there we go. Not too shabby. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other end. I'm going to pull on these guys, get it under. Same thing. Regular knots. I'm going to do a couple. And now I'm going to do a stopper, figure 8. From behind and around. Daniel, ¿qué tal? Welcome. Nice to see you. Is it hot in Mexico right now? What's the time difference actually? I'm in Eastern time, so it's when you set it, it always comes out as the New York City time. I think it's either plus or okay, 9:30 de la noche para. Okay, acá son las 10:30, so we are 1 hour ahead of you here. So here we go. I'm going to take another wingspan of the sinew. There we go. So Danielle, have you been having a lot of storms lately? Because you've had some really nice surfing photos lately. Uh-oh. I don't know where I put my needle. This is going to be a problem. Did anyone see me where I put my needle just a minute ago? This is going to be bad. Oh, there it is. Got it. So same thing. I'm going to do a stopper knot at the end here. Figure 8. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. There we go. And then I'm going to take the other end, thread it, and get going with the second part of this. Y las tuvieron muchas tormentas últimamente en México porque estás haciendo mucho surf últimamente. Buenísimas las fotos. Yeah, guys. Daniel Mendoza from Mexico is on right now chatting, and we always go back and forth on Instagram. It's exciting to be able to talk in real time live for a change. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to take this, do a regular knot here, and let the stopper knot come back and tighten this. So there we go. Excellent. So just with that already, I mean, it's still moving from side to side here, but this is pretty damn tight. So once I'm done going around, what I did in the other one is I focused first in one area, focused then on the second area, and then I took third piece and kind of overlapped both, and it was so impressive how tight it became. actually, I'll cross over and go one back. Yeah, sorry, for lashing moving forward, I'll definitely hook up the other camera as well so it can be a little bit more interesting. I'll have the wide angle and the close-up, but like I said, the results today were so good that I wanted to try to finish both stems tonight. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing. I did a couple of passes. I'm going to take the dowel, wrap it, and pull. There we go. That's keeping it in place. Because I was really wondering about using screws and epoxy for the entire frame, just because the one thing I don't like about that is so many times with a screw it'll split wood, or maybe it'll dry just a little bit crooked, or with the epoxy I mean. And I just kept thinking, not only since I'm building a skin-on frame and I'm not doing the entire design with all the ribs, at least using sinew to lash the entire thing is along the lines of keeping it traditional, and I really like that idea. But I also really like the idea of, if I made a mistake somewhere, I can just cut these, start over, no big deal. Alright, once again I'm going to tighten this. Dowel. I think what I'm going to do when I'm done with all this is maybe take all of the videos and then pull some of the highlights and then pull it into just a short video, the way you would expect to see the process like this done. Because it's a pain to go through and skim through like hour-long parts of this, but at the same time, I like the idea of showing just how long some of these processes, some of these steps take. I just find it really interesting. I was going back the other day and looking through some of these. You want to make one in the future? Oh, definitely, you should. If you want, Danielle, I can send you the information of the guy that made these plans, and all you need is the plans. You can pretty much cut all of the wood yourself in Mexico and do whatever you want. But I'll assure you, it is really time consuming. It's now been, I think, 2 weeks since I started, and I mean, yesterday I assembled it for the first time. Some of these steps take 2-3 days just for the wood to warp enough for you to do something with it. Alright, so this is at a good point. I don't want to go too much more. I'm going to tie it off now. Yeah, but you know what will be more fun is once I actually get to paddle it. That will be so exciting. If one, it winds up looking good, and two, floats and actually works well. It'll be so exciting. So same thing. I'm gonna look for a place to grab and start doing some knots. So I think I'll pass it through. There, can you see? So Danielle, have you? Is it really hard to get um, sea kayaks in Mexico? Like different models of something. If you wanted something, you need to have a special order, or are there stores that carry some, British style sea kayaks? I wonder if I should repeat some of the answers Danielle gives me because I don't think the chats are saved along with the videos once they're archived. So there are stores, or you need to order them? Oh, you need to do a special order if you wanted a particular kayak. How hard was it to get? Yeah, look at that. That's already nice and tight. How hard was, well, only two or three stores in all the country, in all of Mexico, two or three stores. So when you got your wilderness systems, how did you order it? Because you have a Tempest, I believe, right? You ordered your kayak from Texas. Ah, all right, makes sense. Man, I would hope that there were no no problems with the kayak at all. Returning that would have been a mess. All right, so that's enough knots there. I'm going to do the stopper knot now. Okay. And which Tempest is it? Is it the 17-footer? So I'm going to continue making these small knots here. This is the other piece. I know I was in the same situation when I bought the kayak. Yeah, 17-footer. So Danielle has the Tempest, the plastic 17-footer Tempest, which is, in my opinion, an excellent, excellent boat. And I think Wilderness Systems has one of the best, was the most comfortable seats when it comes to plastic boats. Because I had the Zephyr for a couple of years, and I love that boat. It's the smaller brother of the Tempest. Mine was 15 and a half feet, or 16. No, 15. It was a Zephyr 155, which is 15 and a half feet, and I love that boat. It was great. And the Tempest is supposed to be pretty much the same, with the difference of a little less rocker, and so it's faster and better for expedition and touring. The Zephyr is a little more playful because it's shorter and has a lot more rocker. Okay, so that's the second one. I'm going to do one more, and this stem will be done. Yeah, look at that. So same thing, sinew, wingspan of it. So, Danielle, another question. How often do you get to go paddling? Because I know we all post pictures close to every day, but do you get out on the water almost every day? So same thing, I'm going to start at the end, leave a bit, and do figure 8 stopper knot. And if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat room, and we can discuss anything. All right, so I'm going through here. I'm going to make a small knot. There's my stopper knot. I'm going to make a regular knot here. Paddle 3 times a week. That is excellent, though, because most of us are lucky if we paddle, I'd say, once or twice a week. Now that it's winter here and it's really cold, it's hard to make it out all the time. Especially now that we have our pool sessions. We spend a lot of time in the weekends with the pool sessions, teaching, rowing. But otherwise, the weekends we always try to go once or twice. But still, 3 times a week, that is excellent. I'm glad you get to enjoy that. Plus, the weather's almost always great for you down there. And here's another example of why I think this live streaming is very interesting. I started lashing the... Sorry, this moved a little bit. I started lashing the bow stem earlier, and I thought, you know, this didn't take that long. Let me get on and do a live stream of the stern. Maybe 20 minutes or so. It's already 40 minutes in, and I'm not done doing this. But that's how long it takes. All these steps take a really long time. 3 times a week, but sometimes paddle 4 or 5 days, and rarely 2. Well, 4 or 5 days sounds amazing to me. For us, it's mostly we get out on weekends. And especially in the winter, the days get really short. So it's dark even before we get out of work. So if you mix cold water and it being dark, That's already a tough situation there. So, but winter paddling is amazing, especially if snow is out, if there's fresh snow or there's ice and you get to crack through ice. It's a lot of fun. There we go. Okay, so I went around a couple of times. I'm gonna now use the dowel again and tighten it. There we go. This is still kind of moving a little bit from side to side. I'm hoping that as I continue tightening it down, it'll stay in place. Danielle, have you ever paddled in cold weather? Yeah, it is really nice. It's, you know, one of the drawbacks is you just need so much gear to paddle in the cold. That's one of the problems. I'm going to get a set of pliers because now I've gone through the hole several times and they're getting a little tight. I don't need to use pliers this big, but this is the closest ones I have. Never in cold weather? Well, I recommend it. Maybe we could meet in Norway someday. That's definitely on my list. All those guys that post paddling photos from Norway, absolutely incredible. Although that last set that you posted, Danielle, was amazing with those cliffs and the really tall mountains near you. That was some really beautiful scenery. There's just something so cool about thinking that this boat is going to be held together with string. Alright, here's another question for you. Have you ever paddled in Ecuador? That's something that my wife and I have talked about before. I don't like that this is still a little loose here. I think you could see that there's a little bit of play. I think what I'll do is, I just don't want to weaken it too much, but I think maybe I'll drill another hole here. I don't know. I think it needs a little more. Belize, yes, I've seen a lot of photos. My family has been to Belize. I've never been there, but Ecuador, I've heard, is also amazing for paddling. Yeah, my family's been to Belize. I didn't get to go, but their photos, their videos, everything was just absolutely amazing down there. It looked so beautiful. One of the problems with the U.S. is the culture here doesn't really push for a lot of vacations. So I'm trying to change that with my most recent jobs, trying to find ones that will give us time off here and there so we can start enjoying ourselves a little more and not just working all the time. And kayaking is such a nice thing to do on time off because you get to do a sport, explore, and just also the camping and aspect of it is just really cool. Okay, that's actually a lot better. Now it's not really moving from side to side. What I did is I tied off grabbing other strands, and that made it a heck of a lot tighter than it was before. I'm still wondering if I should add another hole to it, but might not need it. This wax sinew is absolutely blowing me away. Okay, 1 or 2 more knots this way, and I think I'll do a stopper knot here. Well, like I said before, if you ever come to the US, you're more than welcome to stay here in New York, and we can go paddling anywhere from New Jersey all the way up to Rhode Island. That's usually our stomping ground, is anywhere up and down the East Coast. Okay, so I'm going to do a stopper knot, figure 8 again, here, so that this doesn't get loose. There we go. So that should hold in place, I think. I'm going to do the same thing with this other piece. Grab over here and get this a little tighter. Yeah, now it's really not moving. Now that I made all those other knots over there, it's really tight. Man, and I thought this was going to be a 20-minute segment. Here we are, almost 15 minutes in. Another stopper knot here. And that's not going anywhere. I have a bit of string here, so I think I'm going to try making this a little tighter. Just a couple more. I'll go down the line here. Oh, trust me. Yeah, the moment I can make my way down to Mexico, I will be there. The only thing is I won't be able to travel with my kayak. So if someone were to go down to visit you, what would we be able to do? Can we rent a kayak for, let's say, a week down there, like a British sea kayak similar to what you have, maybe in a plastic or fiberglass? Is that a possibility? How does it work? Alright, I'm going to just pull on this one just a little more. And I think that'll be in a really good place. That is not going anywhere. I love this. If this is how every single joint winds up being, this thing is going to be solid. Alright, so stop or not. So figure 8 again. Probably yes. Fiberglass, I know some people that have composite kayaks for rent. Oh, excellent. Okay. So then that's definitely a possibility. That'd be great. I mean, plastic is just fine. I don't mind one versus the other. Both would be just fine. I just wonder what's down there. Okay. So I'm calling it officially on. This is... I mean, it doesn't look as pretty because I didn't have the nice crisscross in every single one. But part of it is because these guys actually were crossing, but I started attaching, not only were they tight going across, but once I tightened across them, they pulled over, and now this thing is just, it is not moving, which is perfect. So I'm going to get the tape measure and take a look to see if I'm in a good spot. So from the tip, can you see the tip at all? I'm guessing you can't. There it is. Because I have the... These gunnels are in the way. I'm just trying to remove the gunnel for now. We don't need them up there. Alright, gunnel out of the way. So from here, this is frame 7 over here. So this is the last frame of the boat in the stern. Going to the tip stern, it should be around 39 inches. And I am at 39, a little less than 39 and a half. So I'd call that a victory. Although the keel did move forward, back just a little bit. So I'd say, there we go. It's almost 39 and a quarter. I think that's pretty damn good for this here. And that's it. Lashing. Here, I'll move these guys out of the way. This way. There we go. Lashing of the stem. Lashing of the stem to the keel. This one is the stern. I don't know if you can actually read it. It says it right there, stern. And then, actually I'll grab the computer, see if I can show the entire boat. And then way down there, we have This is frame 2 with the bow lashed on. So for the next part, when I do this again, I'm actually going to have the gunnels mounted, and it's going to start looking like an actual boat. The gunnels, here's the chine. Chines are going to sit down there. Gunnels sit there. There's the other one. And the other chine that's sitting down here. Putting all this together, it'll actually start looking like a real boat. It's extremely exciting to be at this step. Alright, so I'll see you guys next time. Danielle, thank you for keeping me company and chatting with me. I'll see you tomorrow on Instagram. Let's keep it going. See you guys next time. Bye.